Ever notice how life's best stories don't happen in your living room? They happen on the open road, out on the water, or parked under the stars. At Progressive, they get that you want to focus on the experience, not worry about the what-ifs. That's why they offer quality insurance designed for your ride, whether that's a boat, RV, or motorcycle. Adventure with confidence. Visit Progressive.com and see how easy it is to protect your favorite way to get away. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in D.C. Prices vary based on how you buy.
The state of Wisconsin versus Kevin Lychwick, 24 CF 1881. Appearances, please.
The state appears by Chelsea Thompson and Dan Tombasco. Also at council tables, Detective Ben Stern. Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Lychwick, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Nothing, Your Honor. I'm not well. I need to lay down.
Okay.
I protest these proceedings. I'm being railroaded. I am not prepared to defend myself in this matter.
Mr. Lychwick, we'll get to that in just one moment. Attorney Thompson.
You have hamstringed me every attempt I've made to defend myself.
It was June 9th, 2026, day 2 of the state of Wisconsin versus Kevin Lychwick. Kevin was disgruntled at the start of the day, telling the judge that he wasn't well and needed to lie down.
Mr. Lychwick,
I am not feeling well today.
Mr. Lychwick,
you have dragged me here and brutalized me. Look at this. Look what they did to me. Offered no resistance. They dragged me out of my bed. I question your rationality, sir.
Kevin did not want to continue with his trial.
Why do you feel that you need to lay down and rest?
Because I'm sick. For one thing, I have a tear in my belly that needs to be repaired. And I refuse to take responsibility for the delays in the length of these proceedings because I needed medical attention. And you're saying I put it off. I did not. How would you like to sleep for 18 months, Your Honor, a concrete slab, being starved, tortured with lights on you, 24 hours a day, guards harassing you when you're on the toilet, can't even shower in peace or sleep in peace? I can't take this anymore.
Today, we're covering a murder case with a defendant who's representing himself and maintaining that he's being set up by the police. Spoiler alert, the trial did continue after his complaints to the judge.
So, Mr. Lychwick, we'll make sure that your hands are free and that you are secured by the ankle restraint, but you will still be in jail clothes. I'll tell the jury that they are not to consider anything about your appearance today and infer anything from that and not hold that against you. And we'll proceed with the trial.
This is Jillian in partnership with Law and Crime. You are listening to Court Junkie. We originally got a Casper mattress intending to use it for guests, but nowadays my daughter has seemingly taken it over. And I can't say I blame her. This episode is sponsored by Casper. Casper makes reliable, high-quality mattresses designed to deliver consistent, comfortable sleep night after night. Consumer Reports actually named Casper's The One their top-rated all-foam mattress of 2026 out of 99 mattresses. So if you're in the market for a new mattress or an upgrade, head to Casper.com to save up to 30% off. Casper's mattresses are built to be durable and long-lasting. You're not replacing this thing every few years. It's designed to maintain support and comfort over the long haul. And they have a 100-night risk-free trial, so you can actually try it before you're fully committed. Although with 110,000 plus 5-star reviews, I have a feeling you're going to love it. We put our Casper Snow Max in the guest bedroom, and honestly, it's been a hit. We had a cousin visiting from North Carolina who raved about the quality of sleep he got and how comfortable it was. And Casper just launched a brand new kids mattress, so the youngest sleepers in your family can get the same quality too. My daughter would agree. Casper also offers a wide range of mattress types, so whether you like it firm, soft, or somewhere in between, there's something for you at Casper.com. And Casper is one of those brands where I love that I can genuinely stand behind the product, because when everyone who sleeps on it loves it, you know it's the real deal. Right now, save up to 30% on mattresses and up to 35% on everything else when you go to Casper.com. One last time, that's CASPER.com and save up to 30% on the mattress you deserve. On April 14th, 2024, 55-year-old Carlos Maldonado went to a hardware store and then went back to his apartment in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Glenda Rose, a neighbor who had lived in the complex for more than 30 years and was the on-site manager, recalled seeing Carlos that morning.
What did you see Mr. Maldonado doing on April 14th?
He was in the garage cutting up some wood.
And then after that date, he just disappeared?
Yes.
Did you ever have any phone contact with him?
I tried.
Did he ever answer?
No.
Carlos's daughter, Talisa Maldonado, tried to get in touch with her dad later that week. He never called her back or responded to any of her text messages, which was unusual. She became worried as the days went on, and in May 2024, she contacted the Waukesha Police Department to let them know her dad was missing.
Talisa actually reported him missing, because it was out of character for Carlos to actually not contact his daughter. This was something that whenever Talisa called Carlos, at this point, Carlos was always very prompt in terms of getting back to her. So the fact that she had attempted to call her father and he hadn't gotten back to her, that was very suspicious.
An investigation started. Talisa went to her dad's apartment. Glenda let her in. And she saw that everything had been left behind, including important documents like his birth certificate and diplomas. She had a bad feeling she couldn't shake. She called homeless shelters, hospitals, and she got so desperate she even started calling psychics. But months went by. No word from Carlos. Then, 6 months later, on October 30th, 2024, she got a call that her father's body had been found, just behind the apartment complex where he lived. Here's Glenda again, after describing a call she had received that afternoon about how their groundskeeper, Nathan Polly, had been doing some yard work in a wooded area behind the complex when he made a discovery.
Can you describe for me what happened when you got that phone call?
Nathan called. Actually, it was Terry called and said Nathan found a body outside.
Glenda said she went over to the area behind the building. At first glance, she saw a pile of branches and a tarp.
Now, when you walked up to it, you said you saw a body. What specifically did you see?
I saw the middle of a body and legs and knees and shoes.
Carlos Maldonado had been found. The body of 55-year-old Carlos Maldonado had been in the woods for months.
They start to investigate. They interview several people at the apartment complex. They canvass the area. And to be frank with you, for a while there, wasn't looking very good. They were having some difficulty figuring out who did this, what were the circumstances surrounding this. They knew it was a homicide, but they didn't know who actually was responsible for this. And then what you're going to hear is they caught a huge break.
While canvassing the property after Carlos's body was found, investigators noticed a trail camera at the back of the building. When they were able to look at the footage, which started a couple weeks after Carlos's disappearance, they saw a suspicious figure walking around near where Carlos's body was found. The suspicious figure was Kevin Lychwick from apartment 11. After conducting a search warrant on his apartment and vehicle, Kevin was arrested and charged with first-degree intentional homicide and hiding a corpse. Kevin's trial began in June 2026. Prosecutor Dan Tambasco gave the opening statements on behalf of the state of Wisconsin.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is why we're all gathered here today in this courtroom. For Carlos, to figure out what happened to Carlos, because the evidence is going to show that on April 14th, 2024, this defendant, Kevin Lychwick, murdered him. He shot him twice, once in the torso and once in the center of Carlos's face. This is a picture of Carlos. This was a much better day for him than April 14th, 2024. And I think it's important before we talk about the facts of this case to give you a little bit of information about who Carlos was as an individual in life before we talk about what tragically happened to him.
He said Carlos lived in an apartment at 1512 East North Street in Waukesha, that he had goals in life. He was planning on starting his own business, and he was very close with his daughter. Prosecutor Tambasco went on to detail the investigation into Carlos's disappearance and how that investigation led them to those trail cameras at the back of the complex.
And what they found on that trail camera was the defendant, Mr. Lychwick, walking around the area where Carlos's remains were found at very odd hours of the night. They saw the defendant carrying a white trash bag. They saw him suspiciously looking in windows of the apartment complex as if he was looking to see if somebody was watching what he was doing. He was seen in one clip, and you're going to see this as well as part of the state's presentation of evidence. He was wearing boots. At one point, he was kicking an item off his boots after he was seen walking in the area where Carlos's body was ultimately discovered. And he also was carrying some sort of tool. We don't exactly know what tool it was because of the quality of the video footage, but he's definitely carrying a tool as well.
He said there were also documents found in Kevin's apartment that point to him as being the killer. Documents with Carlos's name on them, calling him a threat. He said when investigators conducted that search of Kevin's apartment, they handed him the search warrant. Just a small note here. You'll notice throughout this episode that Prosecutor Tambasco frequently says Carlos Maldonado's last name wrong.
What we do in Waukesha County is we try not to include victims' names in court documents because they have a right to privacy. We want to make sure that we're not unknowingly exposing their name or their information to the public for their own protection. So the search warrant that was given to Mr. Lychwick only said victim A. That's all it said, victim A. Yet, you're going to hear that when Mr. Lychwick was given a copy of that warrant and he looked at it, he exclaimed, quote, "Carlos Maldonado, I had nothing to do with that."
He said at that point, police hadn't made public that the body they had found was Carlos.
The evidence is going to show that only the killer would have known that Mr. Maldonado was the individual who was on that grounds when Mr. Lychwick made that statement.
He told the jury they have DNA evidence and suspicious Google search terms in the case, too. He explained that motive is different than intent.
We have to prove intent to you, but we don't have to prove motive. Now, that's stated more simply, we don't have to prove why he did it, but we have to prove that he did it and he acted with intent.
He said when they were sitting down and thinking about the best framework to present this case to a jury, they came up with the idea of a puzzle. He said when you first sit down and start a puzzle, you may not be able to see the full picture, but as you add pieces to it, the bigger picture emerges.
So Googling, for example, how to dispose of food safely, spoiled food safely, may seem pretty innocuous. But when you consider all of the other evidence that we're going to present, what it is it shows, it's one more piece of the puzzle showing that Mr. Lychwick is the individual who's responsible for the murder in this case.
When it was his turn, Kevin Lychwick spoke to the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, quite simply, I am not guilty of this crime. I feel sorry for my poor neighbor, but I did not know him well enough to have any animus against him even, and I have never killed anyone in my life. The largest warm-blooded animal that I've ever killed was a skunk that walked in front of my car by accident years ago. I am not a killer. The police in this matter have a largely circumstantial case. I don't know how exactly they circumvene on me, but I simply did not do this. I am unprepared for this trial. I am in poor health. I was in poor health and doctoring at the time that they arrested me, and they knew that. The police have made gross exaggerations in their reports, and I do not recognize that firearm. This is the first time I am seeing a picture of the firearm used in this murder, and I do not recognize it. That was not in the trunk of my car when they stopped me. They did not have a warrant when they stopped me.
Objection.
The objection is overruled at this time. The warrant was discussed in the state's opening. Mr. Lychwick, though, I will remind you that you're venturing a little into argumentative territory. So I want you to just focus on what you believe the evidence will show, and you can infer arguments in your closing arguments, okay?
All right.
Go ahead.
As for the search warrant without Carlos's name on it, he said he and everyone else in the complex knew that Carlos was missing and that they had been looking for him. He called the allegation that only the killer must have known it was Carlos a gross exaggeration.
I don't know how the detective can wear his badge with honor and blow something like this out of proportion and use this as an excuse to center on me in this affair.
He said he was also never walking around the area where the poor man was found.
I was never in that area. And yet the state is telling you that I was walking in the area where the poor man was found. I was not. I was never in that area. Quite the contrary. The man who discovered the body and was an initial suspect of this crime, Mr. Polly, who is now missing.
Objection, relevance.
Mr. Lychwick, I'm going to sustain that objection. I'm not sure how the testimony is going to come out regarding that, but I think that's something that's outside the scope of this trial. So I want you to focus on the evidence that will be shown in this trial. You may proceed.
I would like to say that Mr. Polly was the one who was...
Objection.
I don't know what his next statement's going to be. What were you going to say, Mr. Lychwick? You want to say that Mr. Polly is...
Mr. Polly, a very suspicious character in this building to begin with, was seen quite frequently in the area where the poor man was found, where the remains were found.
I object.
Poor man.
Hang on one moment. Attorney Tombasco, are you objecting to that statement?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Because it's contrary to this court's pretrial rulings regarding Denny evidence.
Mr. Lychwick, I'm sustaining that objection. At this point, I want you to focus on the state's opening, your opening, the evidence that you believe will be presented. And I'm reminding you of the scope of some of my pretrial rulings about what can come in and what cannot come in into evidence. You may proceed.
Kevin continued talking about the surveillance footage.
In my defense here, the prosecution is maintaining that Mr. Lefebvre's camera captured me walking around in the area that I lived in. I had reasons for being out the few times that I went out at night. As anybody, I'm living in a wilderness area. We're not allowed pets in my buildings. I put food out for the rabbits. I carry a rake to clean up the area under the tree where I leave the lettuce rinds that I give the rabbits. I also curious as to where the local possums that are supposed to hang out in our pine trees live. And I was accused by the prosecution here of carrying a firearm when I was out, as you'll see in the videos that Mr. Lefebvre took with his trail camera. That is not a firearm, and it has been recognized as not a firearm. And if the state maintains that it is, I will object to that because it is a flashlight in an old camera case on my belt. I did not walk around with a pistol. I did have a pistol in one of the bags that they found during their illegal car stop, and it was...
Objection.
The objection?
Again, he's violating the court's pretrial ruling.
Okay. Mr. Lychwick, there were motions heard before the trial about legality and illegality of any searches. The court has made a ruling that the searches in this case were valid and they were constitutional. So I'm not going to permit arguments that the searches were not legal. You may continue.
Well, the police did not have a search warrant at the time that they took my car.
Objection.
Again, that, Mr. Lychwick, is something that would be ruled on pretrial. It's not a trial issue for this jury to determine whether or not there was a warrant present. You may continue.
Oh, I'm up against a lot here, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I am a God-fearing man. I
I'm telling you, I did not know the poor victim. I did not even know him to where if I saw him in a store or he saw me, we would have said anything to one another. It is a 16-unit apartment building. We have multiple people living in each unit, and I have my lady friend, and I spend a lot of time away from my 16-unit building, doing my own business, minding my own business. We all are good people in that building. We mind our own business.
He said as he told a Channel 4 reporter who interviewed him shortly after Carlos was found, this whole thing was bizarre.
Right around Halloween, they find the poor man, and nobody heard anything or saw anything. It was just bizarre.
He said it was also false that he had Carlos's name written on any documents found in his apartment.
I had nothing at all with the victim's name on it. I did not know the victim that well. I'm sure he was a very nice man and everything, but I would have liked to have known him probably, but I simply did not.
Kevin tried to tell the jury why he was representing himself, but the prosecution objected and the judge agreed that wasn't relevant.
I have developed evidence through the discovery process in this case that strongly will prove that the Waukesha Police Department, namely 5 to 7 of these officers and detectives involved in this case, have compiled this evidence on their own, that they have falsely introduced this evidence against me. It is not just. It is not legal what they are doing.
He told the jury that right before his arrest, police did a traffic stop on him and that the footage from that was doctored. He said after they seized his car, he got a ride home with one of the officers and that the officer threatened him, telling him that he better back them up about having stopped him for speeding. He said the officer was holding on to his pistol in a threatening manner when he said it.
I emphatically deny any involvement in this crime. I am a law-abiding citizen. I am a good Christian of the Lutheran faith. I am a responsible citizen. I am an ex-police officer myself. I served as a security police officer in the United States Air Force. And I must ask you to consider the fact that a person is considered innocent until proven guilty in this country. And I certainly am not guilty of this crime. And if a travesty of justice is allowed to take place at the culmination of this trial, the perpetrators of this crime will be allowed to roam free and perhaps kill again.
If you've ever traveled with me, you know I overpack for every trip. But my husband and I just got back from Cancun, and I realized that the things I ended up wearing over and over again were the items I got from Quince. That's why I love Quince. They make elevated essentials using premium materials like European linen, organic cotton, and washable silk, without the traditional retail markup. Their 100% European linen pants, dresses, and tops are the pieces you'll reach for all summer long. Lightweight, effortless to style, and starting at just $32. Their denim is soft and comfortable, and their organic cotton sweaters are perfect for layering when evenings cool down. And if you're looking for jewelry, they have that too. Quince's 14-karat gold jewelry includes things like simple hoops or delicate chains. Everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands because they work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen. So you're paying for quality, not markup. My latest favorite from Quince has been my most utilized swimsuit so far this summer. An Italian high-rise bikini bottom and scoop neck top in deep palm green. The fabric feels so much more substantial than I expected for the price, and I love that the top has actual structure to it instead of feeling flimsy. It's not just apparel, though. Quince also offers elevated essentials for your home, from bedding and bath to kitchen essentials and furniture. Make your summer wardrobe feel easier. Go to quince.com/court for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/court for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/court. Detective Jessica Barron with the Waukesha Police Department was involved in the execution of the search warrant at Kevin Lychwick's apartment. Inside, investigators had found documents that were of interest to their murder case, including receipts.
These receipts that you had found, were they for stores located here in the city of Waukesha?
Yes, they were.
And were there certain receipts that you notated in your report that had evidentiary value as it related to the timeline of Mr. Maldonado's death?
Yes, I noticed that his spending has increased in certain months. Specifically, the receipts that I had looked at, you could see from Woodman's, Dollar Tree, Walmart, things like that. They included a lot of cleaning supplies, in excess of cleaning supplies, what I would say. Typically, when someone shops somewhere, they have if they go to a dollar store, they have one that they prefer, whether it's close to their home or work or things like that. Mr. Lychwick was going to multiple dollar stores, multiple Walmarts, and even in the same day, within a few hours, to purchase things such as rubber gloves, bleach, what I would consider an excessive supply of salt, flyaway spray, air fresheners, candles, things like that.
In the days immediately following Carlos's presumed death on April 14th, Kevin had purchased multiple boxes of latex gloves, scrub buddies, masking tape, candles, air spray, heavy-duty pet training pads, large trash bags, bleach, 5 pounds of iodized salt, and more heavy-duty cleaning supplies.
In reviewing the totality of the either receipts or other financial records from Mr. Lychwick's apartment, did you notice any change in the pattern of purchases as it specifically relates to garbage bags on or about the time that Mr. Maldonado was killed and after?
Yes, so according to the bank statements and receipts and things that I looked over, there seemed to be an excessive amount of purchases regarding cleaning supplies and trash bags and things like that in April, May, and June.
She noted that after Kevin became a suspect, she reviewed a video from a prior traffic stop from May 2024, where Kevin had been stopped by police.
Did you notice what color hair Mr. Lychwick had during that traffic stop?
It was gray.
Did there come a time in this investigation where you had in-person contact with Mr. Lychwick?
Yes.
Do you recall the approximate date that happened?
I believe it was the end of November, May 29th, possibly.
What color hair did he have at that time when you met him at the end of November in person?
It was jet black.
The receipts from Kevin's purchases were moved into evidence, but Kevin had an objection.
What is your objection?
Those are general receipts from my everyday life. They have nothing to do with the murder of this poor man.
Okay, so your objection is relevance?
Relevance.
All right. I think based upon the testimony of the witness, I'll overrule that objection. The state can draw inferences from the evidence. You can draw inferences from the evidence. But on a relevance ground, I'm overruling that objection. So Exhibit 140 will come into evidence. Do you have cross-examination, Mr. Lychwick?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead.
Detective Barron, is it against the law for a man to dye his hair?
No.
So why are you making an issue out of the fact that during a traffic stop earlier in the year of 2024, my hair was gray. I hadn't had a chance to dye it. And then when I met you during your investigation of this poor man's death, my hair was jet black because my girlfriend liked my hair black. Why was that an issue with you?
Mr. Lychwick, the witness was answering a question posed by the state's attorney. A question was asked, the witness answered. That's the reason for that answer. So you can ask another question.
Your Honor, she also made an issue out of it in her police report.
Okay, well, ask your next question, Mr. Lychwick.
So then you seem to indicate that I'm buying a lot of certain materials, but yet you find that suspicious because I live alone. You don't know what I'm doing all of my time, and if I'm alone or not. I have a love life as well, Detective. And you're well aware of that too, because we discussed my girlfriend at one point. So why you're leading the jury on to believe that I'm living alone and buying pounds of salt that I don't need and things like this? It's just an exaggeration, which is quite a habit with you and Detective Stern during this investigation into my private life and trying to link me to this crime.
All right, Mr. Lychwick, you have to ask questions. You cannot testify, and you can't editorialize either. So if you have a question for this witness, now is your time to ask it.
Kevin continued with his questions, and the detective conceded that she doesn't know the details of his personal life and why he would be purchasing anything. On the second day of trial, Alex LaFay testified that he lived in the same apartment complex as Kevin and Carlos. He said both Kevin and Carlos lived on the second floor. He lived on the first. He testified that he installed a trail camera at the back of the complex so he could keep track of his progress with his garden. Footage from the camera was displayed for the jury from May 2nd, 2024 at 12:41 a.m. Anthony identified Kevin Lychwick as the person walking around. More video clips were entered into evidence. The judge asked Kevin, seated at the defense table, if there were any objections, and Kevin reiterated that he wasn't feeling well, as he had said earlier in the day. But as the judge continued to ask him about each clip being entered into evidence, Kevin just completely stopped answering.
Any objection to Exhibit 69, Mr. Lychwick? The record will reflect that Mr. Lychwick is sitting still in his chair with his eyes closed, and he is non-responsive to the court. The court is speaking in a loud enough voice to wake up anyone who would legitimately be sleeping. The defendant is choosing not to answer the court's inquiries. Exhibit 69 is received into evidence.
Karen Corcoran Gumman is a retired officer with the City of Madison Police Department. She now owns her own company called Canine Search Solutions, which does voluntary cadaver dog work in addition to training law enforcement officers. On November 19th, 2024, she was contacted by the police in Waukesha to help them in this case. She went to the apartment complex where the body of Carlos Maldonado had been found a few weeks prior and brought her dog, Moxie. When she let Moxie out of the car, the dog immediately went right to the spot where the body had been found. From there, they went into the complex parking garage. She took Moxie's leash off, and Moxie gave her trained final response in the door frame going into a boiler room. Moxie then led her to a workbench, where she again gave her trained final response.
After that indication, I began to move through the space more methodically with her. She was self-sniffing, but moved past the workbench, and then in that bar corner, there's remnants of carpet. She dropped her nose underneath. I don't recall if she snorted or not, but she backed right out, looked at me, and gave her a trained final response.
If I make the screen larger, in that back corner there, you see all those rolled up carpets?
Yes.
Can you circle on Exhibit 80 where you saw Moxie give her trained final response?
Approximately that green circle.
They then left the room, with Moxie guiding her back into the garage. Moxie gave another 2 trained final responses in a vacant part of the parking lot. Moxie then went inside the apartment building, up the staircase, and to apartment 13, which was Carlos's apartment. They went inside and Moxie gave another trained final response in the kitchen area near the kitchen sink. Moxie then continued down the hallway to a bedroom.
And once Moxie is inside that bedroom, does she give any trained final responses?
She self-initiated going in there. She did extend her nose up to an empty dresser area up higher and conducted her trained final response that she detected the odor of human remains.
Okay. Once you are finished in apartment 13, is there any other location on the property where Moxie is taken?
We did an exterior around the actual building, and she did not indicate around the building to the fact that she detected the odor of human remains. And then we went up the concrete stairs to the northwest, and I took her off traffic lead, and she pushed forward again, and then she cut more into the woods. And as I was following her, she dropped her nose down along a log, nose straight down, and then turned around and gave me direct eye contact and conducted a trained final response that she detected the odor of human remains.
Moxie gave one more trained final response also outside, near the wooded area.
So if human remains were found, let's say October 30th of 2024, and now Moxie is hitting in that area on November 19th of 2024, that odor could still be in the soil? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
What if somebody were to, after the remains were removed, walk through that area? Would the odor attach to something maybe that person is wearing?
Yes.
If someone were potentially gardening in that area, and let's say they take those gardening tools and put them back in the boiler room where you saw gardening tools, could the odor of those human remains follow that gardening item into that boiler room?
Yes.
And would it be fair to say that Moxie is not detecting the odor of human remains of a specific person? Is that fair?
That is correct. They're trained to detect the odor of human remains. Upon death, we become generic human cadaver odor.
Okay. So without finding any human remains as you were next to Moxie during her responses, and if I were to tell you that a body was not recovered in apartment 13, based on your training experience, how could you account for the fact that Moxie gives a trained final response in apartment 13, knowing there's no body there?
Based off the information that a body was decomposing for 6 to 7 months, for a human remains detection dog, everything is probably contaminated within that driveway, anybody that's been walking around in that area. And that was the only apartment we sniffed. So I couldn't say if everybody was contaminated by it, but it gets into everything.
On November 26, 2024, Detective Tyler Bauer assisted with the execution of the search warrant at Kevin's apartment number 11.
Turning your attention to the defendant's bedroom, was there a particular item on a chair next to the defendant's bed that stood out to you during your search?
Correct. There was a rope.
I'm sorry?
There was a rope.
Do you recognize what is depicted in this photograph, sir?
Yes, I do.
Can you please describe it?
It appears to be a knotted up or tied white piece of rope around what appears to be a folding chair.
And this is the rope that you located in Mr. Lychwick's bedroom?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I now move the exhibit into evidence and ask that it be received.
Mr. Lychwick, do you have any objection to the receipt of exhibit number 88? The defendant is refusing to acknowledge the court. Exhibit 88 is admitted.
Thank you. Detective, based on your role in this particular investigation, what, if anything, is the significance of those two pieces of rope that you just displayed for the jury?
It's my understanding that the rope on the chair was consistent with the rope located on the decedent.
He said they also recovered some items of significance in Kevin's living room.
There were numerous files, photographs, articles in the living room area, either outside or inside file cabinets, or something of that similar nature, some of it including case reviews on prior criminals and notes on them or operations.
Was there one particular operation that caught your attention, sir?
Yes.
And was that an operation that was detailed as, quote, Operation Slop Shop?
That's correct.
And did you locate any notes that contained the phrase Operation Slop Shop?
Yes, I did.
And if I showed you that here today in court, do you believe that you would recognize it, sir?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask again the court's permission to approach the witness to show a physical exhibit.
Which exhibit is this?
This is exhibit number 146.
Mr. Lychwick, would you like an opportunity to review 146 before it is used with the witness? Mr. Lychwick remains unresponsive. Therefore, Attorney Tombasco, you may approach.
Thank you very much. And Detective, can you please describe what you are looking at for the jury?
Yes, it appears to be approximately a half sheet of a computer paper with handwriting on it.
Is the deceased's name, Carlos Maldonado, indicated in any way on that exhibit, sir?
Carlos Maldonado's name is on here, correct.
And is that the exhibit that you located in the defendant's living room?
Correct.
And does that fairly and accurately depict the note as you found it when you participated in the search of the defendant's residence?
Yes.
Detective, is there any point on this exhibit where Mr. Maldonado is indicated as a threat?
There's a Operation Slop Shower. It references him connected to subjects and threats. I believe it says something along the lines of operation. It's hard to read the last word.
I see. And did you locate any other operation folders when you participated in the search of the defendant's living room?
I did.
And to your knowledge, did any of those operation those operation folders contain any information about any additional operations in reference to Operation Slop Shop?
I believe they did, yes.
Did one of the folders have an indication regarding whether the threats from Operation Slop Shop had been neutralized?
I was made aware that there was reference to that, yes.
It said the threat had been neutralized. The trial continued after the lunch break on day 2.
The court will make a record that Mr. Lychwick, again, consistent with this morning, is produced in his wheelchair in jail orange. The court notes that Mr. Lychwick's hair appears to have been combed or slicked back a little bit better, so he is not as disheveled as he was earlier today. Mr. Lychwick, did you have an opportunity to retrieve all of your trial notes and exhibits and things like that from this morning? Are you going to
Test
participate?
these proceedings. I am here under duress. I am not well.
Did you want to retrieve your trial notes and exhibits to assist you in court today?
No.
Mr.
I want
Lychwick,
to be able to address the jury and tell them what I'm going through and what you put me through and what I think of you.
that will not be allowed, Mr. Lychwick. Mr. Lychwick, I've been advised by my deputy that you have something in your ears, like makeshift earplugs or something like that. Is that true?
That's my business. That's true, and they're going to stay there, as far as I'm concerned.
I just want to make sure that you are still going to be able to hear the proceedings, that you hear me, you hear the witness testimony and things like that. So that's why I bring it up. As long as you can hear, I'll let you proceed with the makeshift earplugs in, if that's your choice. If at any point you can't hear, though, I want to know that so that we can either make accommodations for it or have them removed. Understand?
I don't understand you at all, because I can hear fine. I just am not up to processing what I hear or dealing with it. And you know that. You must know that.
Anything else you want to state for the record before we continue, Mr. Lychwick?
Again, I protest these proceedings. I am here under duress. This trial is a sham. I am being railroaded.
The testimony continued. Erin Christensen is a crime prevention specialist with the Waukesha Police Department. She also looks into location records and creates maps for detectives to use in their cases. She was asked to create maps from the phone records in this case. Looking at Carlos Maldonado's phone records, She could see that he went to Home Depot on April 14, 2024, the morning of his disappearance, before heading back to his apartment, where it remained. She said she wasn't able to get any location data from Kevin's phone. Detective David Fine testified about the cell phone data from the phones in this case. He said he was trying to establish a timeline from when Carlos's phone was last used. At 9:20 a.m., Carlos called Home Depot. After that, for the rest of the day and into the following day, the phone received multiple incoming calls and text messages, but all of them were missed. Detective Bryce Sculton responded to apartment 11, which was Kevin's apartment, on November 26, 2024. He was assisting with the search warrant. He testified that he, too, collected a large amount of paperwork from Kevin's living room.
In terms of some of the paperwork that you located, are you familiar with a particular operation known as Operation Starling?
Yes, I am.
And in reference to this particular Operation Starling, can you just tell the jury a little bit more? What exactly is the connection between Operation Starling and this particular case?
So as we were going through the paperwork, we came across several different operations. Detective Bauer had located a piece of paper in the apartment that was Operation Slop Shop. This is different than that. It was located in a different folder that I found back at the police department, but this operation referenced Operation Slop Shop, and in Operation, it stated that Operation Slop Shop needed to be executed first. And then on the bottom of the paperwork, I believe it also stated, it was written in different ink, where it then stated that the operation could commence because Operation Slop Shop had been executed and all threats from that operation were neutralized. And I knew that from Bauer's piece of paper, that's where Maldonado's name was written on that. So that's how I know they were linked.
On December 1st, 2024, investigators began tracking Kevin's vehicle via a GPS warrant that was signed by a judge. They believed he was going to a storage unit that he had been searching online. By this time, they had obtained his cell phone and viewed his online activity. Investigators followed his vehicle in an unmarked car to a U-Haul storage facility in Kimberly, Wisconsin. Kevin was there for about 20 minutes. After calling the facility themselves, investigators found out that he had closed his account and emptied all of his belongings out of the unit.
Why did you find that sort of storage unit to be suspicious?
For several reasons. First off, the location and its proximity to Waukesha, where Mr. Lychwick resides. There's numerous storage units in our city and Waukesha County, as well as Milwaukee County. I also found out that through the search warrant at the residence, he kept detailed notes regarding his budget, and every month he would budget approximately $40 to $50 for gasoline for the month. And I thought it was suspicious that being on a fixed income, he would, have a storage unit nearly 2 hours away and burning through that budget in one trip. So to us, it was clear that if he was trying to get a storage unit that far away, he was clearly trying to distance himself from whatever he was trying to put in that storage unit.
Detective Sculton later obtained the surveillance video from the facility. Kevin could be seen loading duffel bags into the trunk of his vehicle. As Kevin was on his way home, a traffic stop was conducted, where his vehicle was searched. Inside were all the items Kevin had removed from the storage facility, including a firearm. On October 30th, 2024, shortly after Carlos's body was found, Detective David Plata responded to 1512 East North Street to apartment 13, Carlos's apartment, to conduct a search.
And when you made entry into the apartment, can you describe the condition of that particular apartment?
The apartment looked like a normal apartment, normal life. There didn't appear to be any sort of signs of a struggle. There didn't appear to be anything in disarray. It was a lived-in look in the apartment with nobody in it.
Did it appear to you to be fairly clean?
Yes.
2 days later, he went back to the apartment to conduct a more thorough investigation. He said they used something called Blue Star Blood Stain Reagent, which is a different version of luminol, to see if there was any blood. They got a minimal reaction in the bathroom sink, but the response was so minimal that it was determined that it could have been just through natural use of the sink, like shaving.
If Carlos had been killed in that, or excuse me, Mr. Maldonado had been killed in that particular apartment that he lived in, would you expect to have seen more of a reaction when you did the Blue Star latent bloodstain reagent?
It would depend on how or where he was killed. If he was killed on something that in there that could have been removed and that would have absorbed any blood, then we would not have had any reaction. But if it was not, we would probably expected to find at least some sort of reaction or something. If he was injured, that there would be something like where he tried to clean up from an injury that, there would be the reaction in a tub or a sink or somewhere.
He also testified about the search of Kevin's vehicle.
Do you know whether there was a particular boot that belonged to Mr. Lychwick that was recovered from the vehicle?
Yes, there was a heavier outside utility type boot.
Type of boot, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do anything specifically with reference to this boot?
Yes, I observed that there was kind of a reddish stain on the boot, so we collected a couple of swabs of it in case it was possibly blood for further analysis.
He said a firearm, a World War II-era silver pistol, was located in the trunk. Specialist Andrew Schmidt with the Waukesha Police Department testified more about what was recovered from the crime scene. He said a white rope, or rope-like substance, had been located around the victim, and that 2 copper-colored metal projectiles were found. One projectile came from Carlos's head, and the other from his torso. Specialist Jessica Crawford told the court that she concluded that the projectiles recovered from Carlos's body came from the gun found in Kevin's car. Dr. Amy Scheel is an associate medical examiner who performed the autopsy on Carlos's body. Here, she identified photos of the rope that was found.
Moving on to Exhibit 136. What are we looking at here?
This is the length of rope that was around Mr. Maldonado's head region.
Exhibit 137.
The rope that was around his upper chest and right shoulder region.
The knots are all still intact.
Yes.
Exhibit 138.
The rope that was around his ankles.
And Exhibit 139.
The rope that was around his pelvis and legs. And that's further designated with front and back.
When we say back, is that underneath him?
Yes.
Okay.
She said when examining the skull, she could determine that the bullet passed through the front of the skull to the back and exited through the back of the skull, where it then remained underneath the scalp tissue where it was recovered. The trajectory was front to back, slightly upward and slightly right to left. As for the torso, the trajectory of the bullet started on the front right side of the body and continued in an angular fashion towards the left and back. It was an injury that could have been fatal.
When we talk about the trajectory of the bullets, obviously we can determine that here based on what we have. Are you able to tell how close an individual was to Mr. Maldonado when these 2 gunshots were fired?
No.
Why not?
We don't have any skin surrounding the entrance gunshot wounds that might show as soot or stippling, which is gunpowder tattooing of the skin surrounding the entrance gunshot wound. Because we don't have soft tissue or skin to detail those entrances for us, we cannot determine range of fire.
Is that something you could otherwise do if you still had soft tissue?
Yes.
If maybe we had found Mr. Maldonado the day after he was killed?
Correct.
Are you able to tell, based on your examination and the state of Mr. Maldonado's body, which gunshot wound happened first?
No.
If you had...
No.
If you still had soft tissue, or if we had located Mr. Maldonado's body the day after he was killed, is that something you might be able to determine?
There would be more of a chance of determining that, yes, if he had been fresh.
She said she was able to estimate that his death occurred on April 14th, 2024. She said he was last caught on video at Home Depot on April 14th, wearing the same clothes she identified on him at the autopsy. Pamela Taylor is a DNA analyst with the Wisconsin State Crime Laboratory. She testified that typically they will get a dried blood sample from a decedent's autopsy, but that in this case, the condition of Carlos's blood was not sufficient to do for testing. They then attempted to get a sample from his scalp hair to possibly produce a DNA profile, but were unable to do that either. She was shown photos of all the items that were sent to the lab for testing.
Are these photos of the firearm as it came in from the police department?
Yes.
I would move exhibits 158 to 163 into evidence.
Any objection to the admission of those exhibits, Mr. Lychwick?
This is outrageous. I never saw this gun before. This is not my pistol.
That is not an objection. Therefore, those exhibits will be received.
Thank you. I would also ask to publish to the jury.
Any objection to publication of those exhibits, Mr. Lychwick?
I object to all of this.
Your objections noted. Over the objection of the defense, these pictures may be used with the jury.
She testified about the swab from the boots that had been found in Kevin's car. The swab from the right boot was consistent with Kevin's DNA. The swab from the left boot didn't meet the qualifications for interpretation. The pistol found in the car had a towel wrapped around the barrel. Blood was located on the external area of the towel.
When you analyze both the cutting of the blood staining and then the cut of a stain on the exterior towel, did you observe single source male profiles consistent with each other?
Yes.
Okay, and are they consistent then with the profile from Kevin Lychwick?
Yes, they are.
And again, we see here that 1 quadrillion number. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, item AD5C appears to be another cutting of a stain on the exterior towel. Is that correct?
Yes.
In this cutting, we see that there's a 2-person mixture. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, can you explain to the jury then your conclusion on AD5C, that particular cutting from that exterior blue towel?
So a 2-person mixture means there are 2 people contributing to that profile. Each of my locations will have 3 or 4 numbers that represent those short tandem repeat sections. And this is, again, separated by star mix into the percentages. So just estimating the percentage of contributors, say if I have an 80% contributor to 20% contributor, this is asking the question, is this profile best explained with Mr. Lychwick's DNA and one other person, or is it better explained as 2 unknown people? And in this case, it is a very strong support for inclusion that the profile is better explained with Mr. Lychwick's profile in an unknown individual.
There were rubber bands around the towel, and those contained a 3-person mixture, with at least one of the mixtures being a male. She said Nathan Polly, the maintenance man who found the body, was excluded. Kevin's profile was included. Swabs from the pistol had male DNA found on the trigger, but they were unable to test it further. Swabs from the grip of the pistol resulted in a single-source male profile, consistent with Kevin. Detective Ben Stern was the last witness for the state. The prosecutor played the surveillance footage from the trail cams again. On May 2nd, 2024, at 12:41 a.m., an individual can be seen wearing heavy ankle boots, a cut-off T-shirt, pants, and a hat.
If I could ask you to maybe go back to the 00 mark, you get a little better of a view here. There is what appears to be a white plastic bag and a black, some sort of material. The video quality is obviously not perfect, so it's hard to definitively say what those things are, but they appear to be some sort of plastic materials being carried out. There's also what appears to be a wooden handle with some sort of black material wrapped around the very end of it in the right hand.
Yeah, what's your objection?
He's making assumptions he doesn't even know what he's talking about here.
Okay, the witness was asked to interpret what he views on the video and is offering that opinion. You certainly have a right to cross-examine the witness on that point. So the objection's overruled. The answer will stand. Next question.
Thank you. Now, as we continue on in this investigation, and now we start looking at an individual named Kevin Lychwick as a potential suspect, do you ever locate items within his possession that look consistent with what you see on this trail camera video here?
Yes, eventually we do a search of his vehicle, which we'll likely discuss further. But during the search of the vehicle on December the 2nd, pursuant to a search warrant obtained for that search, we located a gravel shovel with a wooden handle that appeared to be cut down with black duct tape around the end. To me, that appears to match what we are seeing in the right hand on this particular video clip. There's also several black plastic sheeting, garbage bags, contractor bags that are located during that search that are consistent with what he's holding in his left hand.
He said the person in the video was walking in the direction of where Carlos's body was eventually found.
Okay, with Exhibit 67, were you able to see if the person who had been identified as Mr. Lychwick was wearing anything on his hands?
Yes, in that video, you'll note that there appear to be black gloves on his hands.
Do you see that shovel anymore?
No.
What about the plastic sheeting or the darker item that he was carrying from Exhibit 66?
Nope. In this video clip, doesn't appear that he's carrying anything back that we had seen in the previous clip.
Now, when Mr. Lychwick is going down those concrete steps that we see before the video stops, what do those steps lead to?
Those steps lead down to the overhead garage door, the one that would lead you into the underground parking area.
The prosecutor continued to play the video from that night.
Did you see that individual do anything with his shoes or his feet?
What I observed with that individual was kicking off both shoes using the concrete slab that pole is attached to, kind of as a surface. To me, it appears that trying to kick something off of the shoes, the way you would clear off mud.
Also, on the right hip of that individual, did you notice anything in his hip area?
Yeah, on the right hip, there seems to be an L-shaped object. Seems to be some sort of holster attached to the right hip. And that's just something that was noticeable that in all the videos from this date.
And are you able to tell with the quality of this video exactly what that item is on his hip?
No, from this quality video, I cannot tell exactly what that is.
In the video, the person then goes again to the underground parking area.
Did you see that person have anything in his hands?
In this last video clip, no, there's nothing in the hands.
But did you see this individual do something different than we've seen so far in the other exhibits?
Yes, I noted that he peeks into that back door as described by someone.
What's the objection?
He's assuming something that was not true. I was looking to see if I wanted to take the stairs for exercise or not, and I decided to go down through the garage. He's making it sound like I was window spying or something.
Mr. Lychwick, if you're going to raise an objection, it has to be a legal argument objection, not a factual testifying to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, disregard the defendant's comments about what he said he was intending to do there. The objection is overruled. The answer may stand. The witness was asked to provide his interpretation of what was being shown, and that is what he did. Attorney Thompson, next question.
Now pulling up Exhibit 73. What is the timestamp on this video?
0247, 2:47 a.m. in 56 seconds.
Picking up where Exhibit 72 left off?
Correct.
Now, what direction do we see this individual going at the end of Exhibit number 73?
So the video cuts out. That is the extent of that video. Does not continue. However, if that individual was to continue walking straight in the direction he was going, it would be very nearby where Mr. Maldonado's body was located.
Objection.
What's the objection?
He has no proof. He has no idea where I was headed to exactly. That direction leads to the driveway.
The objection is noted. It's an objection about interpretation of the witness's testimony. The objection is overruled. The witness's answer will be allowed to stand. If you have questions on cross-examination, you may explore that then.
Detective Stern was shown another video clip from that night, this one from 4:13 a.m.
Exhibit 74, is that the next video after Exhibit 73 where we see this individual that we've been watching at various times the morning of May 2nd?
All right, what's your objection, Mr. Lychwick?
The Detective Stern's response, his heightened demeanor, 4:30 in the morning, as though there's something wrong with the time that I was out. There is no curfew. There is no martial law in this town.
All right, Mr. Lychwick, I'm going to stop you there. Your objection was to Detective Stern's response to the last question. It's up to the jury to determine the witness's demeanor and credibility based upon his demeanor. That's a matter for the jury. It's not a reason for the detective's statement to get stricken from the record. The rest of your arguments are not relevant to admissibility of the detective's answer. So for those reasons, the answer will stand.
Detective Stern said when he went to Kevin's apartment the day after Carlos's body was found to execute their search warrant, he spoke to Kevin outside. The topic? Kevin's interest in German history.
During that time, he shared with us that he likes to attend social meetings at a bar called the Eck Bar, and he explained the German heritage and the German theme of that bar. He talked to us about traveling back and forth to Germany as a child when he was younger. He spoke with several German words during that time and explained to him, and overall it was a cordial conversation about several different topics, but specifically his connection and interest in Germany was one of those topics.
And when you look back at...
What's your objection?
I don't see what relevance this has to this homicide investigation.
That objection is overruled. The answer may stand. Next question.
When you look back on this conversation and consider it in the context of items found during this search warrant in Mr. Lychwick's apartment, did his interest in Germany become very relevant to your investigation?
Yes, when viewed through the context of the German phrases used in the notes that were located in his apartment, in light of the weapon that we heard, fired the rounds that killed Mr. Maldonado, that being a German manufactured firearm, that is where the relevance to me of his interest and his knowledge about Germany, history, and German culture becomes relevant.
Detective Stern was also asked if Kevin talked to him about someone that he knew in Minnesota.
Yes, he spoke about what he described as a former girlfriend that they had broken up and that she lived in Minnesota.
And did that conversation then become relevant to one of the operations notes that you located in Mr. Lychwick's apartment?
Yes. One of the individuals that's listed on the operations note was this female that he described living in Minnesota.
The prosecutor continued asking questions about the documents found in Kevin's apartment, which she said listed out 4 different operations. The first being Operation Slop Shop, which named Carlos Maldonado. Then Operation Starling, which referenced Operation Slop Shop.
Now, for the second operation of Operation Starling, when we talk about or move down to phase 2, is there an individual there named Raven Tanya Frederick?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to connect this person to Mr. Lychwick and to the state of Minnesota?
Yes, that individual lives in the state of Minnesota and had a previous romantic relationship with Mr. Lychwick.
And through the investigation, in terms of digital evidence that we'll talk about later, did you also see this name in those items?
Several times.
Object.
What's your objection?
He's saying that he saw her name in these documents that were not created by me. He put them there. I had nothing to do with this.
Mr. Lychwick, the objection's overruled. Whether or not the documents are tied to you is a matter for the jury to ultimately determine.
How does the letter start?
Operational, I believe it says service, but I put it in a bracket because I was not entirely sure. So operational service for 2023-24. 4 main targets centering on attacking. Stay focused on the mission momentum.
I object.
What's your objection?
The detective isn't even sure what he's talking about again.
Okay, ultimately the jury will decide what these exhibits say. The exhibit 182 has been allowed in as a demonstrative exhibit. The objection's overruled. The witness may continue.
Now, after we talk about staying focused on the mission, does this letter then start discussing Operation Starling?
Yes.
And what is the first reference in Operation Starling to Operation Slop Shop?
It's located here. It says, need to execute Operation Slop Shop. Need momentum, push, money/financing, equipment, vehicles, arms, restraints, plastic materials, etc.
In particular, underneath the heading of obstacles to operation, is there, or can you read what those 3 obstacles are?
Again, on the original, that's located right here. Secrecy and entering and movement in and around Minnesota without leaving a footprint. Funds for operation need approximately $12,000. Disposal of rotten meat and staging area.
At the bottom, there was a paragraph in darker ink.
What does that paragraph say?
This operation can commence since Operation Slop Shop is completed. Funds and reparations have been seized from Slop Shop for Starling, and all threats from the first stop have been neutralized.
Now, in terms of these letters, they were both found in Mr. Lychwick's apartment. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
I object.
What's your objection?
They were not found in my apartment. Those are not
Mr.
my
Lychwick,
letters.
I'm not going to warn you anymore. You cannot editorialize. You cannot try to introduce testimony or evidence. You state a legal basis for your objection, and I'll rule on that. Your objection is overruled. Testimony will stand. Next question.
Detective Stern testified that when looking at Kevin's phone, investigators were able to pull up autofill records where Kevin had entered Carlos's name on various websites.
In this case, these were autofill flags that we located in his phone that were used on an unknown website using the Chrome browser.
And so this does not tell you which website was visited where Carlos Maldonado's name was entered. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you see on the right-hand side here a timestamp and a last used date?
Yes, yeah, the first box there. The timestamp is November the 14th, 2023, with the last name Maldonado.
And is there also an autofill entry for first name Carlos with a last used date of November 14th of 2023?
Yes.
When we look at Exhibit 146, which is the Operation Slop Shop note, did you see a date range or a reference to November of 2023 on there?
Yes, there's a stamp in the top right corner here, November 26, 2023. So they're very near when the phone was logging this information being used on it.
He was asked about Kevin's search history that was relevant to the case.
First, you'll see on here we flagged, they're very close together in time, so it doesn't necessarily mean repetitive searching. That'll show up on a Cellbrite report sometimes. But the first one is Waukesha News for October 2024. Continue scrolling down. Waukesha breaking news today. And then the one that really stood out there was on November the 24th, 2024, Waukesha News for November shooting.
Have there been any shootings in November or October of 2024 in the city of Waukesha?
I object.
What's your objection?
No direct relevance to this case. It could be, I was not searching for that. I was searching for, I heard some gunshots outside of the Salty Toad restaurant in Waukesha at a bar.
Mr. Lychwick, I am not going to allow you to editorialize or try to introduce other evidence to the jury. You have an opportunity to state a legal objection, and that is it. Your objection was stated as relevance. The objection is overruled. The witness will be allowed to answer.
Do you need me to re-ask the question?
No, based on, I know I recall the question.
Okay.
I'm a police officer. I'm pretty well tied into what's going on in our community. There was no shootings during that time frame. Notably, as of November 24th, 2024, the knowledge that this investigation included the fact that the victim was shot was not public.
There were searches for Glenda Rose, the apartment building manager, as well as another resident who lived in the complex. There were also multiple searches related to Germany. Detective Stern testified about additional items found in the search of Kevin's car, including 2 boots, a shovel with black duct tape, and black plastic garbage bags, which he said bear a striking resemblance to the duct tape and bags found with Carlos's body. He testified that when they were done searching Kevin's car, they called Kevin to tell him he could get the car. Kevin asked them to come pick him up and give him a ride. But when they did, Kevin wouldn't get in the car with them. He said they found out that Kevin had instead decided to rent a new car and got a new cell phone as well. He said after the lab called and told him the bullets found in Carlos's body matched the gun found in Kevin's trunk, an arrest warrant was issued for him. The prosecutor circled back to when investigators were doing a grid search of the apartment complex the day after Carlos's body was found. Detective Stern said he saw 2 divots in the ground nearby. This was close to where the dog Moxie had hit. Then the prosecutor moved on to Kevin's Google searches.
This search that we have in front of us on page 4 of Exhibit 214, what is searched for?
On April 21st, 2024, there is a search for map of landfills in Wisconsin.
Is there a search that happens approximately a half hour after the map of landfills search?
I don't know if it's a search or if it's a viewed site. That's right here is the visited. So it was not a search, but a visited a website where the article was entitled Carcass Movement, Processing, and Disposal. It was from the Wisconsin DNR website.
And April 21st of 2024, how many days is that after Mr. Maldonado was murdered?
Approximately 7 days.
And when we consider the date of this search in reference to the trail cam footage from May 2nd of 2024, how many days in between that are there?
Approximately 10 days prior to the videos from May the 2nd.
Now, if we continue scrolling on page 5 now of Exhibit 214, is this the article that we saw was visited regarding carcass movement?
Yes.
Can you describe for the jury then what information is contained in this article?
Yeah, this article is talking about CWD, or I believe it's chronic wasting disease, with deer, moose, elk. And then it notes some sites where there are sample and disposal locations. If someone was to suspect that the animal they may have harvested might have CWD.
I object.
What's your objection?
These inferences are unfounded, unproven connections with this case.
Okay, as far as it relates to relevance, the court will overrule the objection on relevance grounds. And as for inferences, Mr. Lychwick, it is up to the jury to determine the proper inference to be drawn from the evidence introduced. So the court will allow the testimony to stand.
Another article Kevin searched suggested throwing away spoiled food in a heavy opaque or black garbage bag.
Now, February 12th of 2024, what is this search?
Latest Minnesota missing persons.
During cross-examination, Kevin entered into evidence a copy of the search warrant officers used to enter his apartment. In his opening statements, the prosecutor had said that Kevin knew it was about Carlos when he never mentioned Carlos's name.
On page 2, Detective Stern, I believe paragraph 2, what does it read?
Carlos Maldonado's name is on this document.
That's correct, isn't it? Isn't it, Detective? Yet you maintain in your official reports even and led this jury in court to believe that the guilty man would only know the victim's name and that you're inferring that I was guilty of this crime because I blurted out his name and you're saying it wasn't on there. You were lying, Detective, weren't you?
No, I was not lying.
But you stated a fact that was not in evidence here. That was not real. That was not in reality.
I did not testify to this during this trial.
But you did maintain in your official reports that are being used in this trial that that's why you became suspicious of me.
No. Again, the suspicion arose from the May 2nd videos. There is an error in my report where I believed that the name was not in there based on the draft that I had written.
Oh, now you're admitting that there was an error, but you don't bother to clarify that before now.
I'm going to object first. He didn't even let the witness finish. And second, it's argumentative.
Okay, it is argumentative. I'm going to allow the witness to finish answering the question that you posed, Detective Stern.
When I wrote my report, I did note his use of the name. I believe that based on the draft that I had written, which did not include the name, that was accurate. His name is on this warrant that was presented to him.
Kevin then asked him about the search Moxie did and how the dog hid on the boiler room.
And are you aware that I had no access to the boiler room?
I'm not aware one way or the other if you had access to the boiler room or not.
You didn't bother to check that out, Detective?
I'm aware that you did not have a key issued to you for the boiler room.
There was no way I could have gotten into the boiler. I've never been in the boiler room. Was my scent discovered in the boiler room?
Hey, hang on. The jury will disregard the testimony of the defendant about whether or not he was in the boiler room. You have to ask questions. I think you were about to ask a question about whether or not your scent was detected in the boiler room.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Ask that question.
Was my scent detected by the cadaver dog in the boiler room?
My understanding of the cadaver, I'm not a canine handler. Specifically, you'd have to refer back to Ms. Gumman's testimony. The dog does not look for specific people's scents.
In your opinion as a detective in this investigating this matter, the lead detective, did you ever suspect that I had any access to the boiler room?
There were times when we were on the property where the boiler room was left wide open. So in theory, anyone who could get into the garage could get into the boiler room. But I am aware that he was not issued the key when it was supposed to be locked for the boiler room.
Are you aware that the boiler room was almost always locked?
I'm not aware because
I will ask Mr.
Hang on. You've asked a question. Let him answer.
I'm not aware because I do not have 24/7 surveillance on the state of the boiler room if the door is left open or not. We noted when we were there several times throughout this investigation, sometimes it would be open with no one around.
Kevin then asked him if he's aware that Nathan Polly, the building's groundskeeper, had access to the boiler room. He said yes.
Are you also aware that Mr. Polly spent a lot of time habituating the area, the actual area in which the decedent's body was discovered?
No, I'm not aware of that.
I was told that you knew everything about this case.
I'm going to object. That's not a question.
That is argumentative. That is stricken. The jury is to disregard that. Mr. Lychwick, ask a question.
Did you ever interview any of my neighbors or other witnesses at my building who saw Mr. Polly habituating the area where the decedent's body was recovered?
Yes, I interviewed neighbors and witnesses, not regarding Mr. Poli. I would reflect back to Detective Bloom's testimony about Mr. Poli being eliminated as a suspect in this case.
Detective, was Mr. Poli, Nathan Poli, of apartment 1 at 1512 East North Street, an initial suspect in this homicide?
Yes, he was investigated as a potential suspect.
And was he cooperative with you and your department?
Yes, he was.
Your Honor, this contradicts...
Mr. Lychwick, ask another question.
Was Mr. Poli ever uncooperative during your investigation of this matter?
No, as Detective Bloom already testified, he provided consent for the search of his apartment, the download of his cell phone, a DNA sample, all sorts of things that helped us continue this investigation early on.
Kevin then questioned him about planting evidence.
Detective, are you and any other police officers that you know involved in the fraudulent creation of case materials against citizens such as myself that you know are innocent?
I'm going to object as to relevance, and quite frankly, it's argumentative too.
Sustained on those grounds. It's argumentative. It's not relevant. Next question, Mr. Lychwick.
Detective, are you at all fearful of being exposed for corrupt conduct in this case?
I'm going to object.
Same objection, same ruling. Mr. Lychwick, ask an appropriate question.
I'm trying to, Your Honor. I really am.
Next question.
Detective Stern was asked if he knows definitively what was on Kevin's hip in the surveillance video.
No, I still don't know exactly to say definitively what's on his hip in that video.
But if it please the court, you did seize those items from you. You have the case, it's in evidence, and you have the green flashlight, which was just shown to the jury yesterday.
Yes, there was a green bendy flashlight. It would require me to render my opinion. I don't believe the silhouette of the in the video displays the very short flashlight. You'd have to compare it for yourselves to make that determination. Ultimately, I don't know what's on his hip in those videos.
He agreed that he doesn't know for sure what the duct tape found in Kevin's car was used for. Kevin asked him if Carlos's girlfriend was also a suspect in the case, and Detective Stern said that she and her son-in-law were also investigated as possible suspects, but both were ruled out. When asked if it's possible he missed something along the way, he said anything is possible. Kevin then went back to the topic of Nathan Poli.
Are you at all aware of the fact that Mr. Poli is missing?
No, I don't believe that he's missing.
You're not aware of that, Detective?
No.
Interesting.
Move to strike.
That's stricken. Mr. Lychwick, we don't need the editorial comments.
Detective Stern was the last witness for the state before they rested. Kevin said he would rest too, without calling any witnesses. In her closing arguments, prosecutor Chelsea Thompson told the jury that they had proven their case and that Carlos Maldonado was killed by Kevin Lychwick.
When we consider intent, as the court said, you can't look into a person's mind, and that's fine. So what do we have here in front of us? Operation Slop Shop. We have dates on exhibit number 146, and it says targets identified. It goes back to November of 2023. And interestingly enough, when we look at those autofill sections on Mr. Lychwick's cell phone, that's when you start seeing Mr. Maldonado's name. And those autofills don't just happen. That is the user who has to manually input those names, and then the phone remembers it. Then we have him on exhibit 146 as the target of the first operation. And the numbering of all four of these operations is very important because when you look at exhibit 147, which is Operation Starling, it says at the bottom, the operation can commence since Operation Slop Shop is completed. Funds and reparations have been seized from Slop Shop, so for Starling, and all threats from the first operation have been neutralized. That first operation is Carlos.
She said all the German references Kevin made when speaking with investigators prove that he wrote the documents found in his house, since those too reference Germany.
We may not know how far away Mr. Lychwick was standing from Mr. Maldonado when he shot him. We may not know which gunshot wound came first. But what we do know is that is the epitome of intent to kill. Because that is 2 times you have to pull that trigger. 2 deliberate times. And when we consider the trajectory that Dr. Scheel and Dr. Truesdale talked about when they used that probe, both trajectories of those gunshot wounds were in the right, up, and out the left. Almost as if they came in quick succession to have such a close trajectory to each other. Regardless, though, that's 2 times. We also have evidence that these gunshot wounds are front to back. So Mr. Lychwick is standing right in front of Mr. Maldonado. And let's not forget about the fact that Mr. Maldonado was shot in the face. That is deeply personal. That is intent. That is, I am removing this human being from this earth. That is the target.
She went back to the trail cameras.
Yes, we have that half-hour break, but we never see Mr. Lychwick come back with any of his tools or his gear until 4:39 a.m. that morning. He goes back and forth. We see him go to the garage. We see him walking back up in that direction. So that's 4 hours where he's out there and he's not exercising. That just doesn't make any sense compared to what we saw him bringing out there.
She told the jury that Kevin rented the space at the storage facility on November 1st, within 48 hours of Carlos's body being found.
He had rented it, according to that receipt, on November 1st, gets that free month promotion, and now he's got to empty everything out because that month is, maybe he's moving it. Maybe he's going to another storage unit. I don't know. But what we know is he emptied it. And then we follow him. And we saw him on the surveillance emptying it. So we follow him back to Waukesha. Officers stop the car. They seize the car. There's nobody else in the car with him. And what do we find after we get a warrant to search his car? The murder weapon. Inside that trunk, we find the shovel. In the back passenger seat, we have boots. We have numerous boxes of 9mm ammunition. So for Mr. Lychwick to say, I've never seen that gun before, I don't know what it is, I don't know how it got there. You certainly have a lot of ammunition for a 9mm. So then we also find all these garbage bags. We start putting all of these pieces together here.
She said all the evidence is right in front of them, and she asked them to find Kevin guilty. In his closing arguments, Kevin reiterated that he is not guilty and had no reason to want to kill Carlos.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I implore you again, if you have any doubts as to my guilt, please find me innocent. I have a life out there. I am a good man. I am a God-fearing Christian. I just want to go home. I want to resume my life. And when I go home, the Waukesha Police Department and anyone assisting them will be able to continue searching for the actual killer or killers of the poor victim in this matter. As long as I am in custody, they have stopped looking for who actually killed this man. Imagine that whoever did this is still on the street. I implore you to please send me home find me not guilty in this matter, because I am not guilty in this matter. And owing to the corruptibility of people and human nature, I am telling you, there is a corrupt element within our local Waukesha Police Department. And if you find me innocent, perhaps there will be some house cleaning and they can take care of it. Somebody will investigate this matter and we will all be a little safer. I thank you for your time in coming here again. And again, my final statement to you is, if you have any doubts in this matter, if you have any doubts about my guilt, please find me not guilty.
The jury took less than 1 hour in their deliberations. They found Kevin Lychwick guilty. Kevin is due to be sentenced in August 2026. He faces a mandatory sentence of life in prison. And that's all for this episode. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.
Hello, and welcome to Plutofo. If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see, just stream it for free on Pluto TV, where all your blockbuster favorites are landing all summer long. Catch Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. Fantastic. The Matrix Trilogy.
Welcome to the real world.
Mean Girls.
Shut up.
Titanic. I'm the king of the world. And so much more. For showtimes, press nothing. They're free 24/7.
That is so fetch.
On Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
Hi, I'm Jessie Prey. And I'm Andy Cassette. Welcome to Love Murder, where we unravel the darkest tales of romance turned deadly. Our episodes are long-form, narrative-driven, and deeply researched. Perfect for the true crime aficionados seeking stories beyond the headlines. Like the chilling case of Blanche Taylor Moore, the so-called Black Widow who left a trail of poisoned lovers. Or the shocking murders of Chad Shelton and Dwayne Johnson, where family ties masked a sinister plot. Subscribe to Love Murder on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.